Hey, what's up, everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be talking about how to run a 9-second 100-meter dash if it's possible. What are all the things that are going to be necessary in order for that to happen? And I'm really looking forward to being able to do this video. I've done a lot of research into some of the things that are going to end up being necessary to achieve this, and we'll hop right into it. The main thing that we'll have to do is we'll have to have great splits. So these are going to be the 10-meter splits as they're going through, and you can see we have even the reaction time, what we need to be able to see there. And what we can see in the yellow is that's all of the best times that have ever been recorded. The best reaction time ever was 104. The best time altogether with no reaction was 169. Best 0 to 10, 179, so on and so forth. So what I just did here is to run 9 seconds, what we would have to do, and this is obviously just an estimation of what would need to happen. There's going to be a ton of different ways to do it. You don't have to do it this way, but to me, this would end up making the most sense. And so we see the reaction time being 0.11. We have the 0 to 10 with no reaction time, 169. The 0 to 10 would be 1.8. And the reason I say 1.8 is because I think the person is going to have to be significantly taller than Usain Bolt, or at least as tall as Usain Bolt in order for that to happen. We could see then from there 0.95, 0.85, 0.83, 0.8. And just for context, that 0.8 is the fastest split that we've seen, at least amongst the world record splits. There might be, sometime where people got into 0.79 in the past, but with these, 0.8 is the best split, which would be 27.96 miles per hour is the 0.80 split. Again, this is 10 meters in 0.8 seconds. That's like insane that they're running that fast. But what you'd have to actually do is get closer down into like the mid sevens in order for this to happen. So we need to see 0.78, which would be 28 miles an hour potentially, and even down to, I don't think it's possible without running at least 0.74, which would be 30 miles an hour. So that's one of the main things that somebody would have to do, is they'd have to break the 30 mile per hour mark in order for that to even be a possibility of being able to run 9 seconds. We can see with all of this being compiled that the best time would be 9:44 in terms of what has been kind of accomplished currently by the top sprinters in the world ever, which is interesting because Justin Gatlin, when he went to Japan, there's like a video where he ran 9:45 wind aided. So now that we know some of the splits, what we're going to go into is how would this be possible. Obviously, a lot of what we're going to be using in terms of the information is going to be based off of Usain Bolt and some of the things that we can find about him running 9:58. I mean, that's the closest that we have ever gotten, and he's by far the best sprinter we've ever seen, the fastest sprinter we've ever seen. So it would have to be another half second faster than that in order to potentially get into those types of numbers. So the main thing that stands out with Usain Bolt is he was producing about 5 times his body weight of force. So he was about 200 pounds, a little bit over 200 pounds, and he was producing about 1080 in terms of the amount of force. Well, in order to get to be able to run this fast, you're going to be having to get closer to 5.5 times the body weight of force, maybe even higher. They say, Peter Whalen has a thing where he's saying that you need to have probably closer to 6 times your body weight of force and be able to do that in 0.85 or 0.9 seconds. And that's really what stands out with Usain Bolt, is he's so fast off the ground, but still able to generate so much force into the ground. And that's what made him so unique. He was averaging 10.44 meters per second, and he took about 41 steps. So, and that's almost 4 steps less than the other athletes, other world champions, potential world champions, the fastest people in the world, right? Is the race that they're talking about here when he broke the world record. So it's not like he was going against average people here. He was average, and he was covering about 2.44 meters per step. In order to run the 9 seconds, in my opinion, you need to have closer to 39 steps. I put 39.2 steps would probably be about where we need to be at. We'd be needing to average 11.1 meters per second in comparison to 10.4. And the stride length would need to be closer to 2.55 meters, just what your average stride length should be. For male athletes, you just multiply your leg length by 2.5 or 2.7. So I did that, and based off of that, came up with these inches here. It would need to be at least 40 inches. The legs would have to be at least 40 inches. Usain Bolt's were actually 41 inches. And so it would probably need to be somebody that is between 40 to 42 inches in terms of leg length. So the person would have to be at least least 6'5", 6'6", in my opinion. It had to be around 215 pounds, be a little bit bigger than what Usain Bolt was, but able to generate 1,320 newtons into the ground, right? So Usain Bolt was able to get 1080. They would need to have to get closer to 1320, which is a lot amount of force for not that much more mass. But just from a pure physics perspective, mass times acceleration, that's really Peter Weyland's like primary reason of why it wouldn't be possible, is because the physics just don't make any sense, right? Because if you go down into Noah Lyles is 5'11", 155 pounds, right? And so, and here's some of the other guys, Ariane Knighton's 170, Christian Coleman's 160, Usain Bolt was 207. So again, just from a pure physics standpoint, it'd be very, very difficult to be able to generate that much force into the ground. To me, you'd have to be, 6'6", 6'7", something like that, be able to cover that distance in closer to 39 steps. The amount of stride length you'd have to get to would be significantly lower than what Usain Bolt did in order to really maximize that time, right? We're talking about going from 9:58, right? That's a great time. But cutting another half second is going to take a lot. And again, it would have to be somebody that's tall enough to be able to get there. And I think at the end of the day, in order for this to happen, there would have to be somebody that really has that determination or that will to be the fastest person in the world, or someone that just really decides that they're going to not do something like basketball or football. If you're 6'6", 6'7", and you're, able to run that fast, that is such a huge mismatch in football, even soccer, like those sports you could just make so much more money in just from a financial kind of business perspective. So it's like, why would you run track? There's just not as much money in track. At least that's how it has been kind of perceived, right? I mean, that we don't really know exactly how much money Usain Bolt made over his career, how much he made with endorsements, all that type of stuff, being the fastest man in the world. But it doesn't seem like it's a sport that can compete with the, soccer or football of the world. So, that's some of the key things that I think we'd have to be able to see. Somebody's closer to like 42 inches with their leg length, you're just not going to see people with that long of legs that are under like 6'4". Even when I was doing the research, it was like mostly people that are in the 6'7", 6'8" range are only 38 inches. Obviously with Usain Bolt, he was 6'5", but had 41-inch legs. So it's definitely possible for somebody that is 6'5" or 6'6" to have that long of legs and therefore be able to cover that much ground on each one of his steps. Average stride length 247. He was able to take the whole thing in 40.92. So again, this would need to be closer to 2.55, just a little bit longer legs, be able to have a ability to, be closer to 215 in comparison to 207, but then also have, be a lot stronger within his leg. That would be the only way for something like that to happen. It is obviously a possibility, but those are some of the things that would have to happen in order for you to run really what would be 30 miles an hour, right? So not only is this asking the question and trying to solve the question of is running 9 seconds possible, but also is running 30 miles an hour possible. And obviously both of those would be, and really running 30 miles an hour would come down to being able to just have insane ability to cover a lot of distance per step and be very, very quick with that, right? So have the same type of numbers, right? Have 0.85 to 0.9 seconds on the ground, but instead of generating only 1080 newtons of force in the ground, you'd have to be generating closer to 1300. So a lot more force in the ground, but be able to still absorb very quickly within the feet, within the ankles, to then transition right back off. Again, it's possible. It's not super likely, and if it does happen, it probably won't be for a long time, but it is something that can happen. So hope you guys enjoyed that video here. If you liked it, go and click that thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel. That would really help us out a ton. We're always doing videos that go more in depth into sprinting mechanics and how you can improve your speed and things like that. But I just hear and I've seen a lot of people ask questions about running 9 seconds. Is it possible? What would have to happen in order for that to happen? So, if this ends up, sparking some of your curiosity or anything like that, would be happy to answer any questions you might have, or if you have any other recommendations on something that might be interesting for you to watch, we'd love to be able to get you that type of video. And again, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, check out some of the other videos we have, and we'll talk to you soon.